Here we are at Fathom Art. And hi, Frank.
Hello and welcome to Fathom.
Thank you. Tell me what you're up to.
Well, we're printing today, and we're going to show you a few of the artists we work with who have done some pieces about love.
Oh, cool.
Right. We actually work with close to 70 artists and photographers, a combination. And primarily we publish these artists, but we do have a handful of artists that hire us to print or capture their paintings for them. It's split about 50-50 photographers and painters, and about 50-50 women and men, male artists. So we're trying to do that balance.
Yeah, you're gonna have to really project through two masks.
Okay, I'm not reading.
Yeah, not too bad.
Do you want to take a look at some of the art?
Yeah, who do we have here?
So this is Torquato, Michael de. You would take two.
Yeah, we'll just go.
All right,
Torquato.
so Michael de Nicola, his middle name is Torquato, and he created this little horned character as Torquato, whose saying is "Yes, I can."
That's great.
Right, and this whole series is called Love Is, and it's based on a collection of images that he created surrounding the cartoon Love Is, right? And he used to keep these out with his grandmother, and his grandmother would send them to friends in the family. So every year he's created a series. It's been an ongoing series called Love Is. And a few years ago we did a show with him called Torquato Says Love More, was the premise of the show. Mm-hmm. So this is a pigment print based on one of his original paintings, and it's called I See You.
Pigment print. No, these are all archival prints.
Right, archival 12-color prints. And on this particular series, Mike went in and remarked each one, so each one is slightly different in terms of the characters he wrote on it.
What do they mean?
I don't know.
All right.
I think they're just, symbology of what his sort of lexicon, like some of these images, he creates little characters and
they're all embedded into the piece.
Right.
So you print on it. Is he doing anything on top of them, or are these originals?
These are not enhanced.
These are prints.
These are just prints on 100% watercolor paper. Michael's background is he's a pro surfer, or was a active pro surfer. So he's got this kind of unique blend of, I almost call it like West Coast neoconservatism. It's kind of this primitive style, but the colors are sort of happier and brighter than what you might see coming out of the New York school. Yeah. Right?
Cool. Who else do we have?
So then this is Miles Regis, and Miles is also in that sort of neo-expressionist category of work. We're doing a series of prints with him called America, the series, and it's Miles's take on what it's like living day to day here in America. And he's influenced by Basquiat, but he's got his work comes from more of a humanistic, sort of all-inclusive. It comes from love, even though a lot of the imagery is political. There's always this sort of upside to it, or most often, So this is Miles Regis, Love Wins. This is our newest piece from Miles.
Great. And can people get this print from you?
It's available on the website.
What's your website?
Fathom, FATHOM-ART.com. Fathom Art.
And that's Miles Regis.
This is Miles Regis. And this is a new series we're doing with one of the original LA graffiti artists from K2S. This is Carlos Marquez, and these are, again, a series of love graffiti. And a lot of times he'll have some of his original, graffiti writers sit in with him, and they'll hit a canvas, and then we'll photograph it. And this particular series, we're just testing how it looks on canvas. So this would be a stretch canvas, and this would be the border here. And I think that we're probably going to have Carlos come back in and enhance each one with spray paint. So each one will be a hand-painted multiple. So we'll be releasing these a little bit later in the year, in the spring, but a whole series of graffiti. And one of the things that's, I think, important to note about this kind of work, this is authentic. It's not someone who went to art school and is doing graffiti. These are the K2S guys are guys that, original graffiti artists in Los Angeles, and there's probably a group of maybe 40 or 50 people who really created the LA style of graffiti between the different crews like K2S or WCA, all those guys.
Mm. And who's this back here?
That's our boy Rohitash.
Tell us about Ro. I think most of us know Ro in Venice.
Yeah, Rohitash was a Venice artist until he decamped for Austin, Texas, where he's a professor of advertising now. And this is an early piece called Here Comes Old Flat Top, which, by the way, I named. And Rohitash has, he's a comic artist, and all of his pieces have his sort of sense of humor embedded in them somewhere.
Do we have others? Is that his?
That's his too. That's from his Midnight Sketchbooks, which he did during COVID, and we have a whole series of pieces he did. Every midnight he would do a new sketch.
Do you have any here?
No, not really. It's not printed. We're going to be releasing it as a book.
You have art everywhere here.
Yeah, there's some more Miles Regis originals. We Keeps It Real.
Yeah, that says he keeps it real. And where is Miles from?
Miles was born in Trinidad, and he came to the United States for college and to pursue.
Is this one his?
That's him too.
Get it?
Mm-hmm.
What else do you have?
From Miles?
Yeah. Oh, well, who's this? Who did this beautiful?
So that's
Prince?
That's Richard Aaron, the Prince photo. It's actually our best-selling rock and roll photo. Prince number 9 from the roll. Richard was a stringer for Rolling Stone and a lot of the major publications, and he shot rock and roll for probably 40 years. He has a massive archive of amazing rock and roll photography.
Should we keep going down and take a look?
Sure. Come on.
Just project.
Okay, let me find it. Don't look this way, you're tapping guitars.
Got stuff going on everywhere. This is nice. Who's this?
So that work is by Stefan Johansson, who was a Formula One race car driver, and he's still involved in Formula One. And he did a series named after famous turns on the Formula One circuit. And he used, the color palette of the turn and tried to give people a view of what it's like driving a Formula One race car. He raced for Ferrari and McLaren, and he actually won Le Mans, so major dude.
Wow. It just all is a blur in these.
This is more Carlos Marquez work that we wholesale to furniture stores around the country. It's sort of a throwback mid-century, but a lot of his work, because he's a graffiti writer, it's based on letter forms and strokes.
Mm-hmm. Pretty.
Then these are from Marcel Blanco, aka Cell, who is a street artist who originally started with WCA and was, I think, Risk's first painting partner when they were in high school. They met, and so they've been doing graffiti together for years. And this is a show that it's called Punk Rock Zen. That was the last show we ever scheduled before COVID, and we never had the proper opening to really put the show together. But what's interesting about these pieces is they're all somewhat biographical in that they're different aspects of Cell's personality. So it's a really deeply personal project.
They're beautiful. This one is on him too. They have beautiful color palettes. They're great.
Yeah, the graffiti writers have a whole different view of color.
Mm-hmm. Wow. How long have you had a gallery?
We opened the gallery in 2015 in downtown LA. So, and then, you know, right now it's not a gallery. Right now it's a part storehouse and part print facility. But we're hoping that as things open up, we'll be able to reopen the gallery and move the print studio to a new location.
Well, so there are painters out there that haven't actually ever printed their work. They've just painted and they have originals. What's the benefit of having prints? How does that, make their work more valuable or less valuable? What's your
Yeah, I
take
mean, you
on
know,
that?
for me, obviously, people have different opinions, you know. I feel like if you have a robust print program, it gives you the courage to keep your originals priced at a point where you make money, because, you know, obviously it takes a lot of time and energy to make a painting. And so a lot of painters, they'll feel the pressure of the marketplace and start selling the paintings cheaper. Some galleries, there's a few here in town, that will always be pushing the price down because they want to flip and turn the inventory. If you have a good print program, it does two things. One, it gives you cash flow so you can afford to keep your originals high, right? And then secondly, it opens up your market, because, you know, if you're selling $10,000 originals, there's a whole group of consumers who will never be able to afford your work or put it in their house. So this gives, you know, depending on how you structure your print program, a lot more people have the ability to own your work and display it in their home or their workplace. And
some people are printing their work at Costco or, their local print place.
Yeah.
How do you determine where to print?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm biased, you know, but I think the reality is any print starts with a good file and the digital capture, and that's really, I think, the secret sauce of what makes our work stand out compared to, you know, Joe Blow or Costco or Susie Q or whoever, is that we've gotten over the years really good at capturing the art and capturing the texture and what's in the print, compared to if you go to Costco or if you try to shoot it at home with your iPhone or even, you know, your camera. It's tricky. Like, you know, we use cross polarization when we photograph the art, so we can deal with reflections, and we do somewhat asymmetrical lighting, so we can cast the shadows in a way that helps show what was painted, you know. And then, you know, secondly, there's a little bit of an art to it, because the print is not a painting, and so sometimes on a print we'll give it a little more pop or a little more contrast, just to just make it feel right on paper. Right. And then the second thing about working with a shop like ours, as opposed to Costco or, you know, maybe even some other commercial labs, is we have 24 different substrates that you can print on. So you have a lot more options in terms of how you want that print to show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a marketing thing. And who's this?
This is another Torquato.
Let's take a look at that. Love is something
Love is his thing. Yeah. This is just we're over here. We're doing a series for resale into home decor, and we're just kind of exploring some, you know, somewhat expressionistic views of things like chandeliers and home decor objects. And this is Sherry Alec, a new artist to Fathom.
Is that her too?
This is her too. These are original charcoals, and we're reproducing them.
Wow, beautiful. So you have a lot. How, if people want to reach you and they feel like they want to get some of their work printed, or they're looking for representation, how can they reach you?
So, you know, you can get to us through the website. There's a, you know, contact form to, you know, if you want to have us look at art for representation, you know, make sure you send us a link. Don't blow up our you know, thing with a bunch of JPEGs. Send us a link either to your Instagram account or to, if you have a website, or just somewhere where we can look at the art. But don't send us anything we have to download. you know. In terms of like print for pay, people want to come in and print with us, it's really by referral only. We're a small shop and we spend a lot of time on each piece. You know, I really try to treat each piece as if I were publishing it, so anyone who comes in, you know, gets that kind of attention to detail as if it were going to a museum or to an A-list art gallery. We do everything we can to make it look the way the artist wants it to look.
Well, great. Thank you so much for showing us what you do, and we'll see you at the next art crawl, hopefully in person.
Okay.
All right,
Sounds
thanks.
good.